Hey everybody, Richard Seller here. Another weekly video for you on our YouTube channel. The last one I did dealt with the incredible wage theft that's occurring in the United States by companies big, large, and small. And I wanted to sort of build off of that report that came out and talk to you a little bit more discreetly about each of the subcategories of how employers do get away with wage theft. And the first topic I want to talk about is what I call off-the-clock work. And we see a ton of these violations. So in essence, what happens is, let's assume you're an hourly paid employee. You're supposed to be paid 15 bucks an hour, okay? And you're working 15 bucks an hour, but at the end of the day, your employer clocks you out or tells you to clock out, and they make you continue to work, do paperwork, wash the trucks, unload supplies, all sorts of these other activities where it's compensable time. I mean, you're sitting there working, but they're not paying you for that time. That's off the clock work. How about when your employer is making lunch deductions for 30 minutes to an hour every day, but you're forced to sit at the desk and take calls or work through lunch? Or you, like me, sits at your desk because I've got such a horrible boss, and I'm shoveling a sandwich down my throat while I'm talking on the phone, trying to continue to get done what I need to get done. So these are the things that employers do where they're stealing time and they're forcing you to work off the clock. The law on lunch breaks is if you don't get a 15 to 20 minute uninterrupted meal break, it's considered compensable time. Now, you might say, oh, it's a few minutes here or it's a few minutes there. We have these large class actions that we handle where the employer makes hundreds or thousands of employees come into work, and before they can log in, they have to boot up their computer or have to read a training memo for the morning. And that might take anywhere between 8 to 10 minutes to do any of this, what we call pre-shift work. And they're not paying these employees for it. So let's just do a real simple calculation here together. Let's assume you've got 1,000 employees. I'm doing this without looking. And each employee is getting robbed of an hour per week of pre-shift or other time, and they're making 15 bucks an hour. So 1,000 times 15, that's $15,000 a week that the employer is stealing from employees. Now multiply that by, let's assume we go back 3 years, 156 weeks, and look at that number. I mean, it's upside down, so it doesn't look like much to me, but it's, $2,340,000 that's being taken from employees and going onto the back of employers. So these are the concepts and things that we handle. It becomes particularly egregious in the overtime context where, using my example of $15 an hour, let's assume you're working overtime and your time and a half comes to $22.50 an hour, okay? And the employer, based on the wage theft that they're engaging in, is taking 5 hours of your time per week, which should be overtime hours. That's $112.50 a week. Multiply that by a year. That's $5,850. If somebody on the street came up to you and stole $5,850 out of your wallet, would you chase them? Then why is it any different when it's a corporation, when somebody wearing a suit or a tie? So these are the tricks that employers engage in to try to, maximize their profits at the expense of employees. And it's illegal. And they try to convince you that it's not. And they'll say, well, it's for the good of the company. At the end of the day, is the good of the company paying your bills? At the end of the day, is the good of the company going to have your back if you lose your job? And we both know the answer to that. And I'm being silly in that regard. But this off-the-clock work, where employees are being forced to work for the benefit of the employer but not getting compensated for it, is illegal. It does give rise to a cause of action or a lawsuit for unpaid wages. And there's absolutely no reason why an employer should get to keep money that you've worked for and that you earned, okay? So if you have questions about your wages, employer stealing time, reach out to us. We're at www.floridaovertimelawyer.com. If you need me, you want to email me directly, I'm always happy to answer questions. Richard at floridaovertimelawyer.com. And there's a lot of good content on the website that talks about typical violations, things like this. But I'm always happy to answer phone calls or emails to try to help you guys. So hope everybody's summer is off to a good start for you teachers. We're all jealous that you get to go to the beach every day. The rest of us are here working, but not a problem. God bless everybody. Stay safe.